The tale of 3 quarters in the first quarter. First quarter took some time for us to get adjusted to the tempo, and I'll be honest, at one point in the first quarter, the coaches needed to get out of the way and let our guys go. I think we had our up front on defense so worried about his escapability that we kind of handcuffed him at times. And about middle of the second quarter, we said, hey, we got good players too. We got to go after them, and I think you saw that over the course of the day. I don't know how many sacks we had, but we had a number of moments when we had pressure. We had some big time stops. The pick early by Dom Jones was critical. He'd only thrown 4 all year. For us to get 1 was big. They'd only punted the ball about 13 times all spring, and we forced them to punt 4 times. So. Resiliency from our defense. Great job by our defensive staff making adjustments. And then, anytime you can have 422 physical yards on the ground, it's tough to win. And, and it's, makeshift. Our guys stepped up. Next man up mentality. I'm a Jake Rock fan. I've been a fan, and I'm getting on that fan train right now. That young man had a great day for us, and really excited. Cordell Volson getting moved to guard on Wednesday. We had some other guys that are banged up. We'll be healthier next week, thank goodness. But you talk about a fun day. There was one time today I looked at defense, and I think I said something to Ian that we had 7 first or second year players on the football field. If that doesn't make you excited, I don't know what does. Those guys having the resiliency to listen to the coaches, understand the game plan, and then get locked in late in the second quarter in the second half. I'll open it up for questions.
Nick Cousin.
Hey, Coach, how important was it to get the running backs involved with Jalen and Dominic having big games?
It's always important. We're a run-first program, Nick, so it was big. It was good to see Jalen Bussey back. Been hampered by an ankle lately. He looked pretty good today, didn't he? And ended up with over 100 yards rushing, 11 yards a carry. That's a positive day, but it all starts up front with our tight ends and our Rams, the offensive line.
And then what do you think changed in the defense in the second half?
We let our guys go up front. We became less concerned about him getting away, and we said he needs to be worried about us getting to him. Just a different mind frame.
Ross Uglum.
Coach, you guys are down 14-0 following a loss. Can you just talk about the vibe on your sideline and your club's response?
Well, Ross, my vibe was probably more concerned than our players. Like I said, we have a number of young, confident players on the sideline. I think they were just hanging in there. And like I had mentioned we needed just to let our guys rush the quarterback. And when we did that, I don't have the stat here in front of me, but I thought we did a really good job of getting to the quarterback. Sacked him 5 times. I think he'd been sacked probably 4 all year. Very few teams had gotten to him. Disruptive, created a huge takeaway. Dom Jones kind of got our momentum going a little bit. I'm excited about how it looked today. I'm sure I'll watch film. There's things we got to fix, we got to correct, but we'll continue to get better.
How important is it to your offense to have a back like Kobe or like obviously today Jalen, where it's not just the hammer of Dom and Hunter?
Well, I think I talked about it earlier in the week. It just changes the tempo. He hits the hole differently. He has the ability to be a little bit of a slasher as well, a jump cut, make you miss, and you saw that today. He was able to hit some of those runs out the back door, and Hunter and Dom love those guys to death too. I'm sure Eastern Washington loved tackling those 2 guys also, but Jalen Bussey just gives a different appearance, a different tempo through the hole, and I think it was good to get him back today. You saw he brought some energy. Our kids enjoy blocking for him.
Congrats, Coach, and thanks.
Hey, thank you, Ross.
Devin Fry.
Coach, we've talked a lot about this being a young group. Kind of what does it say about these guys that they were able to rally back from 14 in a playoff game? What does it say about this group?
That they're getting better and that they're starting to understand what Bison Pride's all about. And that's been a huge learning piece going all the way back to the fall, all the way through the spring. It takes time. We haven't had our normal off season. We didn't have a normal fall camp. These guys are trying to figure it out daily. Our leaders, our upperclassmen are doing a tremendous job. Our leadership council, our coaches. holding guys to the highest of standards. And if it's too high, then maybe it's not the right place for you. But we got a good group of kids right now that are excited about having another opportunity to play together.
And for the defense to not allow a score in that second half, kind of how important was that? How important was it to completely shut down that offense for Eastern Washington?
Well, if they don't score, they can't win. And so it's extremely important. But I think for a confidence standpoint, for us going into another game or going into the offseason or whatever you want to say, playing at a high level always is a positive thing. I saw Cole Wisniewski, true freshman, making plays. Dom Jones, a second-year freshman. The Mostart twins, second-year freshman, making plays today. We got guys buying in unbelievably well. I just hope other people are as excited as I am.
Was there a point in this one where you kind of felt like it was back, the momentum was back on your side? Was it that 21-20 at halftime, or was there a point at all where you kind of felt like the momentum was fully back on your guys' side?
The interception. That's when I felt like, and we did a good job. We had to stop early, and Tyler Roll did an outstanding job calling it. I think at one point in the second half, we had 26 run plays in a row. If it's not broke, why fix it? And kudos to him, because there's a lot of coordinators out there that would think that's boring. At NDSU, we think that's good football.
Thank you, Devin. Eric Peterson.
Just talk about the importance of the sequence right before the half. I think Pierce gets a sack to make them kick a long field goal that they miss, and then you have that quick drive to score to get a lead, especially with starting the second half with the ball. How important do you think that sequence was?
Very important. We're always trying to got a big sack, called a timeout, killed the clock. They're kicking a 50-plus yarder. We didn't feel like that was in his range. Go ahead and have it. That was still going to be a win for our guys. Getting a stop in the red zone, knocking them back. You started to see our pass rush take over a little bit. And then, offensively just started to chunk them a little bit at that time and got some big plays. And it's always, anytime, and you guys, we're going to defer if we get a chance to win the toss. And so if we get a chance to get the ball, we're going to go. We're going to try to get a first down, and if we get that first down, we're going to try to score, and then we're going to come out and try to score again. And I think that's Bison football. That's something we've done ever since in the 7-8 years I've been here, and we're going to try to continue to do that.
Did you feel that play kind of steadied the defense after Eastern Washington? It had moved it pretty freely up until that point.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do you feel that sack kind of steadied the defense a little bit after Eastern Washington had moved it pretty freely up until that point?
Well, I think you go back, and I don't have the full game report, but I think we had them in a lot of second and longs, third downs early. They only ended up 4 of 10. I bet you 4 of those are in the first half. Maybe one was late in the game on a scramble when it didn't really matter. But, again, third down consistency, third down success leads to time of possession for our offense. And we'll continue to hammer that home.
And then finally, 11 consecutive times in the quarterfinals. What does it mean to keep something like that rolling?
All we talked about today was being 1-0. We don't talk a lot about streaks or anything. We don't talk about it at all. The only streak we worry about is making sure that we know that on Monday we're ready to get back to practice. And our kids are excited regardless of when we play. We know the opponent, just don't know when. But we'll be back to work Monday afternoon and look forward to it.
Dom Izzo.
Matt, you mentioned earlier, I counted about 8 or 9 plays by freshmen or redshirt freshmen today. Describe that and counting on that today, that you were going to need to do that.
We had to. Next man up. We didn't have anybody else. At one time, someone looked at me and said, Coach, who are we going to put in? And you want me to pull a guy out of my hat? We don't have any others. And so we talked about it this morning. Next man up mentality all week long. Doesn't matter. We get to do it again. And we're going to do it again next week. And I think we're going to be healthier a week from now. Guys, we had the flu bug go through our team this week. Michael Tutsi never practiced all week. We had Dawson Weber, I anticipate, will be back, strained a calf in warm-ups on Wednesday. Koshner Chang was banged up. We lose 2 offensive linemen to twisted ankles. You know what? No one feels sorry for the Bison. We don't feel sorry for ourselves. We're gonna coach the heck out of everybody. You come to practice, you're getting coached.
Jake Rock's performance today, you told right off the top how excited you were. Was this just a necessary move because someone was injured, or he performed during practice, say, we've got to start him?
Well, it was a little bit of both. But at the same time, we had enough trust in him that we moved. I mean, Dom, we moved an All-American to guard to make room for a second-year freshman. That tells me that this young man has been elevating his play all spring long, and for our staff to have the trust, our team to have the trust in Jake, I think it says the world about him as a person, him as a player, and our coaching staff and our team. The resiliency, these guys don't care. The next guy up, we're going to go play.
You said a lot to me about Cole Wisniewski. You led your team in tackles today. Is this just scratching the surface of what you thought?
I didn't even know that stat, so doesn't surprise me. He's a heck of a football player, and he had big shoes to fill. Even though we tell our guys, bring your own shoes, but he did a great job. Again, Coach Olson doing an outstanding job. Extra meetings, extra reps, trying to find ways to narrow the playbook, and then next week might be just a little bit more info he has to have, but excited for him, and he's a really good football player. We knew in the recruiting process we were getting a special one.
Thanks, Matt.
You bet. Thank you.
Mike McFeely.
Is James Kaiser, first of all, Matt, going to be back? Do you anticipate he'll be back, or is it going to be Wisniewski here for the rest of the way?
I don't know right now. It's week to week. It's an upper leg injury right now. Doesn't require surgery or anything like that. I think part of it's just how quickly he can rehab on it.
And so, did you have any trepidation about putting Wisniewski in at all, or is that? I know you've said a couple times there's nobody left, so you got to play somebody. But I mean, he's just a freshman.
Yep, way to look bad if we only put 10 out there. So had to put 11. I'm joking with you. Mike, ever since he got on campus, he has made plays. He has learned the defense. He is a very cerebral, athletic young man. He plays fast. He was our best option. We tried again. We minimized the information he needed to know. These are the calls you have to be good at. He didn't have to know everything. There was times we could take him off the field, and that probably helped him. James Kaiser was on the sideline. James in his back pocket probably helped him. And, got pretty good players up front in front of him. That probably helped him. But everyone had total confidence in his ability.
Campbell, we got the start today. When did you make that decision? Is that the way you're going to roll the rest of the way here?
I don't know. What do you think? Okay, I'll let you know next week.
Okay. Hey, Zeb Nolan's dad tweeted out that thanks for letting Zeb play here at NDSU.
Yep.
Zeb, is he done for next fall? Do we know?
Zeb's going to move on. Zeb has some opportunities in the coaching world. That's something Zeb wants to get into, is college coaching. And I think he had to weigh the pros and cons. He's got a unique opportunity out there with a Power 5 school, and he better take advantage of it. And we appreciate everything he's done for us. I mean, he has been – it's when a guy comes in from a Power 5 who's played, started, and for the buy-in we've gotten from Zeb over the last 2 years – I could never have asked for what we've gotten from him. You would think he's been here all 5 years. He's got a degree. He's got great experience, and he's got some of the best friends that he'll ever have in the rest of his life. And, we owe a lot to him as Bisons.
And I know you'll talk about this during the week, but Sam Houston State's your next opponent. It's a team you're familiar with. You played them a lot over the last few years. Just thought on going down to Huntsville.
Well, it's a huge challenge. We got to continue to get better. Haven't looked at a lick of film. Anticipate they're still probably similar, but I'm sure they've had some coaching changes. As successful as they've been, I'm sure they've had some coordinators come and go and position coaches. So I'm sure there's some differences out there. We're going to have to prepare regardless. They're expecting us to show up next weekend, and hopefully we can play a little bit better earlier. But when you get down to 8 teams, everyone's good at this time.
Thank you.
You bet.
Coach, your last question is from Will Thompson at 740 The Fan. Will, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. After a dominating ground performance like today, first time since the second round of 2018, you had 2 players rush for over 100 yards. What's an area of emphasis going into the second round against Sam Houston?
Consistency. Got to be consistent. That was a great day today. But guess what? On Monday, we got to put it in the back. We got to shelve it. And now, can we do it again? Good football teams find a way to be consistent. I'm not saying we're going to run for 400, but we need to be able to run the ball effectively next week. We got to make good decisions at the quarterback position. We need to get off the field on third down. Consistency will be the thing, and finishing that we talk about all week long.
You had a couple of guys with their first career touchdowns. How does that feel to have the first touchdown in the game? Is that a big day for them?
I think you could see their excitement. Those guys have played hard. I'm sure you're referring to Dom Gonnella being one of them. True freshman. Young man's a uber talented, big physical kid, runs hard, and it was about time he got in the end zone. I think it was kind of a little locker room joke that he's done a lot of hard carries, but has yet to find the end zone. It was great to see him get in there a couple times today.
Cordell, with you playing guard in a bunch of shifting spots on the offensive line in a playoff game, kind of what was the situation like out there for you guys up front?
You know, it was exciting. A lot of young guys got opportunities today, and that's kind of been the story of the year. So it's being an older guy, it's a great challenge for me, just helping those young guys continue to grow. And it's a challenge for me getting to play different positions and, definitely finding out late in the week that that's what we're going to go with. And got a few days just to prepare for a right guard position. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to putting your hand in the dirt and moving the guy across from you.
Now, a lot of people will just say offensive line is offensive line, but guard and tackle have completely different responsibilities. Kind of what was that like for you out there, adjusting to it, playing guard for the first time?
I've played guard quite a bit in my career. Against Illinois State, we had a few guys go down. I played left guard that game. My sophomore year, I played quite a bit of guard. But, so I have a lot of banked reps. We always talk about our banked reps that we've put in over the years, and definitely have to come back and just lean on those.
As an offensive lineman, how fun are these games where, you guys finish with 422 rushing yards? How much more fun is it when you just get to assert yourself on the ground?
It's a ton of fun. It's a lot of fun just going out there, and we always talk about imposing your will, just continuing to, scratch and claw for another inch, another yard, and those 4-yard runs, 5-yard runs, as you guys saw there at the end of the game, they started to turn into 15, 20, big plays. And it's fun just to see the continual work continuing to, just be created as we continue just to keep wearing the guy out across from us.
Thanks, Cordell.
Eric Peterson.
Cordell, early on in the game, did you feel that offensively you had to maybe stay on the field a little bit after Eastern Washington kind of got off to a fast start offensively?
We knew that going in. We knew that we were going to have to win the time of possession battle just because of how they have such a high-octane offense, and we knew that our best defense is keeping their offense off the field. So we knew that we'd have to run the football and let their offense get cold and let our defense get rest and just continue just to do what we do. And I think today was a great example of Bison football.
At what point did you feel you guys kind of had control or maybe even, smelt a little blood in the water with the way you guys are just moving the line of scrimmage?
I think after the first play, we knew what we were capable of doing against them. We knew that we could get good movement, and we knew that we could run the football. So just as we got into the game plan, just continuing to come back to those runs that have worked, and just to keep striving and keep, like I talked about earlier, just scratching and clawing for another yard. And it was a great turnout today.
Thank you.
Dom Izzo.
Cordell, I was talking with Coach Entz. It seemed like 7 or 8 either true freshmen or redshirt freshmen had major playing time today, including the guy to your right. You described that, being an upperclassman and seeing that many young guys be stepping up today?
Yeah, it's awesome. I told him after the game, I said, I couldn't be more happy for you. He came in and he played a very solid game, and he didn't flinch. He just kept continuing to trust the process and do what he's been coached to do. With our double repping and just the way we practice, we get a ton of reps. So these freshmen, they've got a lot more reps. They probably got the same amount of reps as most sophomores at other programs. So it was great. He knew what he was doing, and I just told him, I said, play fast. Don't worry, just go out there and play fast, play as hard as you can, and the technique and stuff will get corrected on film. But if you're playing fast, good things are going to happen.
Describe Cam's game in his first start.
I think he did a phenomenal job. He's played a ton of football this fall already, and he came in and did a great job. He commanded the huddle. He was there just picking us up, being a great teammate. And I think he did a great job, made the throws when we needed him to make the throws. And I couldn't be happier for him as well.
Describe now moving on into the quarterfinals here with a team that you're still kind of figuring out exactly who's who and who's playing where.
Right. I think it just comes down to what I talked about earlier this week, Dom. I think it comes down to just being excited for another opportunity. We know that if we play the way we're capable of playing, we can beat anybody, but we also know that if we don't play the way we're capable of playing, anyone can beat us. So it's just coming back to work on tomorrow and getting better every single day, learning from the film, and then getting into the next game plan.
Thanks, Cordell.
Thanks, Tom.
Your last question is from Ross Uglum.
Cordell, you were, let's just say, blocking all the way to the whistle today. A little extra nasty. Do you have to be a little nastier when you play guard?
I don't think so. I think no matter what position you play, if you play wide receiver, I think you got to be nasty. That's just the way that I like to play the game, and that's the way that I was taught to play the game. We always talk about playing through the echo of the whistle, and that's just something that I'm going to continue to do. That's the way we're taught to do it here at NDSU, and it's definitely a pride thing in the Ram room. And just continuing to finish.
Dom, can you just talk about the difference in kind of what is open for you when you have Jalen available, and there's a little bit more of a difference between you and Hunter are kind of the hammer, and he brings a little bit different vibe to your tailback room.
I'd say it opens up a lot. I mean, when Kobe was playing, it was kind of the same deal. It's just like we have a monstrous running back room, and when things are just clicking, it's really hard to stop us. So I'd say it does open up a lot of things, and Jalen played a great game today. So I think it complements very well.
You've been playing well all season, but had not yet been to the end zone. What was that first touchdown like?
Oh, it was great. I mean, there was really no other feeling like it. It was just a ton of excitement. It felt like a relief to finally get in and start the rest of my career.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Cousin?
Hey Dom, what do you feel like got you going today?
I'd say the line did a great job today, and the receivers as well, blocking. And I'd say throughout the week, I've been practicing a lot of vision and just not necessarily running as a freshman, like just tunnel vision, kind of just relaxing and running kind of how I know how to run and just release and play more loose. So I'd say that helped me a lot today.
Yeah, and then going off that, I mean, what got you comfortable as the game went on in the big moment of playing in your first playoff game?
I'd say it didn't feel much different than a regular game because that's how we play Bison football out here. We just go out and play the way we know how to play. So I'd say the fact that it was a playoff game, yeah, tensions were a little high because it's one and done, but I felt like I just played how I know how to play today.
Eric Peterson?
Could you maybe describe in a sentence or two how the offensive line played today and what was it like to run behind a front like that, including the tight ends?
I'd say nasty, dirty, stinky nasty is what we preach all week and everything here. They played really well today. They played with a chip on their shoulder, and they played through the echo of the whistle, like Cordell said, and it really showed up on the scoreboard.
How big do you think that interception you had was to change momentum, that you guys on defense seemed to be staggering a little bit, and then after that it seemed like things just changed after that?
Yeah, our whole mindset during that second half of the game when we were down, we just knew that our offense was rolling. They really couldn't stop what we had going on, so our whole mindset was just get the ball back to the offense. So it was definitely huge. I mean, shouts out to DT, definitely getting his hands on the ball and making it easier for me to get that.
I mentioned earlier the amount of young guys playing either true freshmen, redshirt freshmen like yourself, all over the place. Describe that and seeing young guys like yourself making big plays in a playoff game.
Yeah, man. I mean, all credit. I mean, I see Cole Wisniewski. He led us in tackles, so I mean, all credits to him. So, I mean, just the work we put in during the week, just the work we put in after practice, film, all that. I mean, we just always have that next man up mentality. So, I mean, regardless if we're second, third string, doesn't matter. Whoever's out, whoever's not playing, you have to play. I mean, so it's just keeping that mindset of when I'm ready to play, I have to play. So.
What was the vibe this week in practice? The guys upset after what happened last week? What do you get a sense of frustration, a little bit of both?
I'm sorry, can you repeat your question? Sorry.
The vibe of practice this week, were guys upset, frustrated, a little bit of both after the South Dakota State game?
I mean, it was just hungry to get to that next opportunity, that next game. Honestly, we always just, when it comes to games like those, you just put it in the back window and just on to the next week, on to the next game, on to the next practice.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Eric Peterson.
Hey, Dom, just at the end of the half, you held Eastern Washington that long field goal, which they missed and your offense ends up scoring. But how big was that to kind of get that first stop after Eastern Washington had rolled pretty much early in the first half?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that question?
How big was it to hold Eastern to that missed field goal late in the second quarter after they'd rolled, offensively earlier in the game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, our mindset was just get the ball back to the offense. And, I mean, if it was definitely big because they didn't score any points on that drive. So, definitely, it was huge.
And then how important was it to win the turnover battle? I mean, not -8 this spring, just not typical of a Bison team. I mean, defensively, how big a focus was trying to get a turnover in this game?
We knew we were gonna get a lot of opportunities in the secondary. So I mean, we knew if we do our job, if we communicate the right ways, those plays are gonna come. I mean, we're not stressing turnovers, but I mean, if we do our job, those plays are definitely gonna come. We're gonna play good defense.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Devin Fry.
What do you think made the biggest difference between the first half and the second half when it came to just slowing down Eastern Washington? What do you think you guys did differently in that second half?
I mean, it was just we just had to slow down. We knew they were up. We knew that they could move the ball fast. We just had to slow down, stay calm, stay collected, take one play at a time. Just keep that mindset of just get the ball back to our offense, just get off the field. They converted a couple third downs, fourth downs, so we just had to get off the field, and we cleaned that up. So, yeah.
And after hearing all the noise in the past week, kind of how does it feel to get that playoff win, be moving on to the next round? What's the feeling like in the locker room right now?
Feels good. Everybody is up right now. There's no frowns, all smiles right now. So definitely feels good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike McFeely.
Hey, Dom. Kind of a makeshift defense a little bit today because James was out with an injury and then Dawson was out with an injury, which was kind of a surprise thing, it sounded like. So just talk a little bit about your guys' ability to kind of, put some guys in like Cole and you got the start and, you obviously did pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, our young guys are always ready to go. I mean, we always preach that next man up mentality. So if you're second string, you got to be ready to play like you're the starter. If you're third string, you got to be ready to play like you're the starter. So when Cole went in, I mean, I had full confidence in Cole, and he definitely did his thing. So, yes, sir.